El 5 de mayo se conmemora en México la victoria del ejército del general Ignacio Zaragoza sobre el ejército francés y su impulso expansionista en la batalla ocurrida en la ciudad de Puebla en 1862. En Estados Unidos, esta celebración tiene un significado más complejo e interesante que refleja la evolución de los lazos históricos entre nuestras dos sociedades. La victoria del general Zaragoza sobre las fuerzas del Segundo Imperio francés fue inmediatamente celebrada en Estados Unidos por mexicanos y californianos y los habitantes de Texas y Nuevo México. El triunfo, aunque efímero, tenía implicaciones importantes. Significaba un revés a los planes de Napoleón III por crear una república esclavista aliada de Francia y de los confederados en la Guerra Civil de Estados Unidos. Se trató, pues, de un triunfo de México, pero también fue parte de una causa común de mexicanos en ambos lados de la frontera y de estadounidenses de la Unión. Más adelante, las comunidades mexicoamericanas en California, Oregon, Nevada y Arizona comenzaron a compartir la información del triunfo del 5 de mayo a través de grupos de latinos y latinas denominados Juntas Patrióticas Mexicanas para preservar una memoria histórica colectiva. A finales de los años 60, el 5 de mayo se consolidó como un símbolo de orgullo e identidad para los activistas chicanos involucrados en el movimiento de los derechos civiles en Estados Unidos. Gracias a sus esfuerzos, el 5 de mayo adquirió un nuevo significado entre la población general: celebrar las contribuciones de los mexicanos en Estados Unidos y subrayar su tenacidad y perseverancia en tiempos adversos. Este mensaje es fundamental, ya que la prosperidad económica y cultural de Estados Unidos no se puede entender sin la presencia de sus comunidades mexicanas y mexicoamericanas. La crisis del COVID-19 puso de manifiesto que una gran parte de la fuerza laboral esencial que sostiene a Estados Unidos es latina, migrante y mexicana. Este festejo es también una afirmación de la solidaridad social y cultural de la comunidad mexicoamericana en Estados Unidos con su pasado mexicano. Por estos motivos, la Embajada de México en Estados Unidos y el Instituto Cultural en Washington organizamos este programa cultural en conmemoración del 5 de mayo para exponer la riqueza y variedad de los vínculos culturales entre nuestras sociedades. Esperamos de todo corazón que lo disfruten.
Conmemorar el 5 de mayo es reconocer el valor de una nación unida ante la amenaza extranjera. Contingentes de diversas regiones del país se unieron para formar parte del Ejército de Oriente. Un suceso histórico que tuvo como escenario el territorio poblano, con la valerosa participación de sus mujeres y hombres, marcando para siempre a cada una de sus comunidades de origen. Huauchinango, Tetela, Xochiapulco y Zacapoaxtla, poblaciones del interior de la entidad poblana que acudieron al llamado para garantizar la libertad de un país y darnos identidad como nación. A 159 años de distancia, los principios que reunieron a este grupo de hombres y mujeres para defender su patria están más vivos que nunca. La unión de diferentes pueblos, de diversas historias y tradiciones, abanderadas solamente con el amor por México.
Al finalizar la Guerra de Reforma en 1861, el país registraba una situación muy compleja, por lo que el presidente Juárez promulgó la Ley de Suspensión de Pagos, provocando la inconformidad de los países acreedores. Los representantes diplomáticos entablaron conversaciones con el gobierno mexicano, dando como resultado los Tratados de la Soledad, en los que se comprometían a no invadir el territorio nacional. Sin embargo, el país galo incumplió con lo pactado, lo que significó el comienzo de la guerra entre Francia y México. El ejército invasor inició su avance hacia la ciudad de Puebla, con la intención de tomar después la capital del país.
Puebla. Conocida como Cuetlaxcuapan, el lugar donde cambian de piel las víboras. Campo neutral de batalla que sostenían poblaciones mesoamericanas de Itzócan, Tepeaca, Huejotzingo, Texmelucan y Tlaxcala. Un territorio que sería nuevamente testigo del fragor de una batalla muchos años después en los fuertes de Loreto y Guadalupe. Tierra del mole y los chiles en nogada, orgullosa de su tradición artesanal para la creación de la talavera. Lugar lleno de historias y leyendas, como la de las campanas de su catedral, colocadas por ángeles de acuerdo con el relato popular.
Diez estados de la República participarían en la defensa de Puebla, bajo las órdenes del general Ignacio Zaragoza. A ello se unió la valiosa contribución poblana, con su 2º y 6º Batallón de la Guardia Nacional, siendo ejemplar la intervención de este último, integrado por combatientes de Tetela, Zacapoaxtla, Cuetzalan, Xochiapulco, Xochitlán, Nauzontla y Huauchinango. Poblaciones consideradas heroicas por su desempeño en combate. En los escritos del general Zaragoza quedaron registrados algunos apuntes sobre la batalla. Me situé, como llevo dicho, en Puebla. En el acto, di mis órdenes para poner en un regular estado de defensa los cerros de Guadalupe y Loreto, haciendo activas las fortificaciones de la plaza, que hasta entonces estaban descuidadas.
Huauchinango. Los chichimecas se establecieron en esta región alrededor del año 1116. Su nombre significa en la muralla de los árboles. Lugar de nacimiento de Juan Galindo, militar liberal, así como de Rafael Cravioto, quien auxilió valerosamente al general Miguel Negrete en la defensa del fuerte de Loreto.
De la invasión extranjera es la fecha inmemorable.
Comunidad orgullosa de sus tradiciones, como la Feria de las Flores, celebrada desde 1938, con expresiones tan valiosas como la danza de los quetzales y la de los voladores. Su gastronomía y el trabajo artesanal.
En la Batalla de Puebla fueron 6,000 los efectivos franceses rechazados por las tropas numéricamente inferiores del contingente mexicano. Proclamaba Zaragoza: nuestros enemigos son los primeros soldados del mundo, pero vosotros sois los primeros hijos de México y os quieren arrebatar vuestra patria.
Tetela de Ocampo. Fundada en 1219 por tribus chichimecas que venían del poniente. Su nombre de origen náhuatl quiere decir abundancia de cerros o donde hay teteles, montículos con tesoros enterrados. En la comunidad se conserva el monumento a los 3 Juanes de la Sierra: General de Brigada Juan Crisóstomo Bonilla, General de División Juan Nepomucemo Méndez y General de Brigada Juan Francisco Lucas, valerosos héroes en la defensa contra los franceses. Una cultura que resguarda con orgullo su cocina autóctona y expresiones artísticas como la música y danzas de la región.
A las 10 de la mañana se avistó el enemigo. 3 cargas bruscas ejecutaron los franceses y en las 3 fueron expulsados con valor y dignidad. Nunca se esperaron los experimentados suavos, turcos y demás combatientes franceses ser rechazados por defensores inferiores en capacidad bélica y armas de combate, pero llenos de orgullo y motivados en luchar por su país.
Xochiapulco. La flor del apulco tiene su origen en el siglo XII, gracias a una inmigración chichimeca. Una tierra que conserva sus tradiciones, símbolo de identidad para todos los xochiapulcas. Sus artesanos crean con gran maestría bellas obras a través de la talla en madera. Hasta el día de hoy, se celebra la victoria del mes de mayo con desfiles cívico-militares.
A las 5 de la tarde con 45 minutos del 5 de mayo de 1862, el general Ignacio Zaragoza comunicaba: Señor presidente, los soldados franceses se han batido con honor, pero sus generales en turno obraron con torpeza. Informo a usted que las armas nacionales se han cubierto de gloria.
Zacapuaxtla. El lugar donde se cuenta el zacate. Fue el terreno para el asentamiento de grupos nahuas, chichimecas y toltecas. Tierra de origen de Juan Francisco Lucas, defensor contra la invasión francesa. Su parroquia lateranense de San Pedro Apóstol data del siglo XVI. Además, la comunidad resguarda el monumento en memoria de los valientes zacapuaxtlas. La música y sus danzas tradicionales forman parte fundamental de los festejos y celebraciones en la comunidad.
La conmemoración de la batalla del 5 de mayo de 1862 se ha realizado año con año hasta nuestros días, con desfiles y fiestas cívicas no solo en México, sino también más allá de nuestras fronteras. El triunfo de la República sobre el invasor francés ha sido considerado como la segunda independencia de México, al defender la soberanía nacional, la autonomía política y la libertad de su pueblo.
El mejor homenaje en memoria de este suceso es profesar, fomentar e impulsar ideales de justicia, igualdad y libertad. Es resguardar y compartir expresiones y tradiciones que conforman nuestra identidad.
Somos un pueblo que resiste, mujeres y hombres orgullosos de su pasado, trabajando día a día por heredar una nación más justa y solidaria para las futuras generaciones.
Por ello, el 5 de mayo vive hoy más que nunca en cada uno de nosotros.
Cangrejos al combate, cangrejos al compás, un paso para adelante y 200 para atrás.
Casacas y sotanas dominan donde quiera, los sabios de Montera felices nos harán.
Sus sisas, viva la libertad, ¿quieres Inquisición? Ja, 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 ja. Vendrá Pancho Membrillo y los azotará.
Maldita federata que oprobio nos recuerda, hoy los pueblos en cuerda se miran desfilar.
¿A dónde vais, arriero? Dejad esos costales, que aquí hay 100 oficiales que habéis de transportar.
Cangrejos al combate.
Hello and welcome to the Mexican Cultural Institute, the House of the Cultural and Public Diplomacy of Mexico in the United States. My name is Beatriz Nava, and I am at the Talavera Tile Room of the Institute, which pays homage to the state of Puebla and the myriad of cultural influences behind Talavera artworks. And today we are glad to welcome you all to the virtual opening of the digital collective exhibition, A Little Bit of Home, presented by the Mexican Cultural Institute DC in partnership with Bermúdez Projects. This exhibition is part of our celebrations of the Cinco de Mayo 2021. And this year at the Institute, we want to celebrate and highlight major contributions of Mexicans and Mexican Americans to the economy, society, and culture of the United States. And we are extremely happy and honored to have with us today 4 of the 7 extraordinary Mexican-American artists whose works are beautifully displayed in A Little Bit of Home. And we have today Yolanda Gonzalez, Jose Ramirez, Cindy Santos Bravo, Leticia Maldonado, together with Julian Bermúdez, curator of the exhibition. So I want to open this conversation by asking you all first, what does Cinco de Mayo mean to you personally, and how your Mexican home, meaning roots, memory, and heritage, is shown in your body of work. Maybe Julian, would you like to start with this?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having us and inviting us into your homes. We're very excited to be a part of this celebration of Cinco de Mayo. You know, being a Mexican American in Los Angeles, Cinco de Mayo was the holiday we celebrated more so than Independence Day in September. And, you know, we learned a lot about the Mexican flag, the colors, what they represented, but they never spoke about the batalla, the Battle of Puebla, and what that was about. And obviously, if you're in grade school, they're not going to teach about guerras and all that stuff. But nevertheless, it was a foray to me into understanding a little more about Mexican history, because as I was growing up, I'm an American who happens to have a Mexican mother. And it allowed me to then expand and learn more and more and feel comfortable asking my mom questions about where she was from and to learn more about our family history. And over the years, it has become, my identity with Mexico has grown vastly. And it's really nice to be able to be part of 2 worlds and to see our country expand, both our countries expand into understanding that there's this connection between our cultures, and we've had a deep history for a very long time. So that for me is a little bit of how I think of our connection to Cinco de Mayo.
Maybe Cindy, would you like to complement this idea, Julian?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. This is an honor to see all of your beautiful faces together. When I think about this opportunity, I see it as actually, with everything that's happening in the world, this like reckoning that transpired over the summer with like Black Lives Matter and, you know, just like the movement in general. It really feels like an opportunity to reclaim Cinco de Mayo and actually start to you know, for myself, really think about how body politics has sometimes like thwarted the idea of me going into the philosophy of my own practice, because you have this external factor that's making choices and deciding about what your Mexican identity is, sometimes for us. And I feel like when I think about today, Cinco de Mayo, it really is about building a different relationship with this context of being both, you know, Mexican and living on Americans, like this U.S. soil, where we're in a point of conversation and contention over its history and our own indigenous roots. So a lot of the work, the piece that's in the show, it's just, you know, it's like another layer of acceptance of those indigenous realities that for me, when I started to create that piece terrestrial, it was looking at what was happening in Monterrey and with young rancheros and how they were just understanding their world and accepting of themselves. And it really, for someone who is Chicanx, it's like, it's another example of the acceptance process that reclaims the soil and, you know, and actually where our native indigenous roots can be a part of the conversation as we shape this country again. So I'm actually thankful for this opportunity, because I feel like with all the things I've been processing in my life and watching what's going on, it was a wonderful opportunity to start to have a conversation about the life of a Chicano, like of a Chicano or Chicanx human being, and where do we go? So I'm thankful to be with this group of wonderful minds and spirits, and I'm interested to see and to hear what else other people are, how they're absorbing this opportunity. So thank you to both Julian and Beatriz.
On the contrary, we are the ones who are absolutely grateful for that. And I don't know, Yolanda, would you like to step in?
Yes, certainly. Thank you again, Julian and Beatriz, for this opportunity. For me, I think the batalla has continued. It continues through our blood, and being here on the soil and having the blood of a Mexicana running through me has been very powerful throughout my creative creation. And I wrote something talking about the hogar, and I'd like to say it. It says, el hogar no es la tierra debajo de nuestros pies. El hogar es la sangre que corre a través de nuestra sangre que nos dieron nuestros antepasados. And so I really feel that through our blood, the batalla continues. As a Chicana artist, exhibiting, traveling the world, and lecturing on Chicano art, for me, has been very powerful. And I have continued the batalla because I feel like I am representing. I mean, living in Japan, and people would ask me, they thought I was Japanese and Middle Eastern. And I would, let them know that, I was a Chicana. And of course I had to educate them on what Chicanismo was. And I just feel I walk in La Batalla for my ancestors, for what they created for us, for what they started. We need to continue, and we need to continue in a strong, positive manner for our ancestors and for our future generations.
That brings me to Jose. In your work, you also work. You use elements that are indistinctly inspired by Mexican culture, colors, imagery, but also use a number of other cultural influences in your work. In the case of cultural influences, which authors we can find in your work, and why is it important to you to promote such inclusiveness of cultures?
I think part of it is being a school teacher and living in Los Angeles is a lot of different cultures here, and so to recognize not only Mexican culture has on shaping our lives, but all cultures, and especially the cultures that aren't celebrated. So Cinco de Mayo is like Yolanda mentioned, it's recognizing the battle that we still continue, but also celebrating and knowing that maybe Cinco de Mayo for us here in the US can be something that continues to evolve, so that it's not just maybe, I remember the first few years when I was teaching in LA Unified back in the 90s, we would recreate the Battle of Puebla with our students at assemblies and stuff, but also knowing that we can also celebrate other aspects of Latino culture. And so I think it's important because we don't want to just highlight the achievements or the accomplishments of one culture over another one, especially as an elementary school teacher where my classes might be made up of Centroamericanos, like Guatemaltecos and Salvadoreños and Hondureños. And so I want to be mindful and respectful of all the cultures that we see, and not have one kind of do what happened to us in the past, right? Where we were like down below and then other cultures were above us, but we kind of want to bring and celebrate and recognize the achievements of a lot of the cultures that we have in LA.
And that brings me also naturally to Leticia, with whom I find absolutely fascinated at how you aim at processing different layers of human condition, and how different lives are interwoven and different paths are interwoven, using the means of an apparently simple but also complex medium like rose and nature in general. So why did you decide to use this way of exploring human nature, but using this way of expression?
Hi, thank you very much for having me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to all of you for having me. I think specifically because I come from this place of, like a middle ground between two cultures, I've always felt slightly displaced. My whole family's from Mexico, but when we came here, my parents really wanted us to like assimilate, and it left me feeling kind of like anchorless. And so instead I tried to focus on, threads of like compassion, empathy, just emotions that unite people, just humans, as a way to try to just connect with people around me. I use the natural world as my visual language because in my formative years, I was living with my grandmother in Fresno, and her connection to the earth is so strong, and to her experience of Mexican culture. And so as she was teaching me to like engage with the world and engage with the people around me, her platform was really the earth and things that come from the earth. And so that became my language as well, in an attempt to just connect and relate with people, all people.
Which we are all related in a sense. And I think that's something that's very present in all the artworks that are presented here. And Julian, can you tell us what is the current state of Chicanx art nowadays? I mean, I gladly see that the majority of artists showcased in A Little Bit of Home are women with fantastic proposals, as we can have heard. The exhibit, interestingly, rhymes with a little bit of hope too. So, yes. So tell us where we are at Chicanx and Latinx art right now.
It's funny to dovetail all the other artists' statements from this transition of the batalla, to speak to that we want to integrate and celebrate more than just Mexican culture. We're talking about all cultures here in the U.S. We want to talk about the reckoning that is happening within our system, and the expansion and the intention to have diversity, equity, and inclusion in all aspects of our lives. Specifically to Latinx, what I would say is the fact that it continues to evolve and expand from first being Mexican art to Mexican American art to Chicano art to Chicanx, and now we are in Latinx. I think it speaks to the power of how pliant it is and how it continues to evolve, and its agility to transcend, not just in the US, but transcend a global identity, because it's so made up of various parts of our own experiences. And the artists that are in A Little Bit of Home are a small facet of a larger scope of artists. And I was mindful to include more women because I think there needs to be an advancement of equity in that aspect. They're just brilliant artists, and I'm very lucky to be able to work with them. And I feel like excited every time I get to do a project with them. Where are we at? I think it is becoming more and more, the lens is looking at them, because as we speak to it briefly in the online exhibition, we speak to the fact that the Latinx, Latinx art, its language is growing, and it's not looking like the way the perception of it looking the way it did 40, 50 years ago. And I think that's just the power of art in itself. And art continues to grow and learns from each other and expands. And I think this exhibition is yet another opportunity to reach a wider audience and allowing them to see that the art that they're experiencing in their everyday continues to look new and fresh, but it still has ties connected to its predecessors.
And before we finish, what would you like all our audience to tell, how to invite our audience to see the exhibit A Little Bit of Hope? Any final thoughts before that?
I would love for everyone to visit the website, spend some time with it, really look at all the artworks, and just to allow yourself to feel the energy that's in each and every work of art that has been made by the artists available.
Fabulous. Any final recommendation for our audience?
I mean, I would say, like, when I looked at the show and I was able to like just dive into the work, I hope that people spend time with every piece and see what questions arise as you're looking into it. Like, what are some new questions that like the space that we're offering, what can it do for you in your healing process or in your connection to culture? Because I already started to feel like a need to start to talk to these other artists, because it started to trigger questions for me that I think that what this space does virtually is that it expands our audience. So I think we're all really grateful for both of you to like help us grow our audience and share these messages, because they're so needed. And I can already see that this is like a collective that can continue to grow. So I hope that people spend time and potentially share those questions somehow with the Institute, so that we can see what, because we're all about communication. So we want to know, and I think that we have to break that paradigm of what museums have always stood for, is just like place centers that you can go to and walk away from. And I think that you both have provided us with an avenue of like, let's expand that, let's expand our community, and bring it back, like, because that's what that's what we really need to do. And I heard Yolanda kind of say that earlier. It's just like, we have our ancestors guiding us in this process, and that's what I can feel that we're all hearing that. Make it a collective consciousness, so that's my recommendation. And Jose, you're a teacher as well, so that's where I'm like, I just felt like questions. People raise questions, please. But thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, so what I noticed as well was the diversity of different approaches and styles and mediums and stuff, and how there's diversity in that, but there's also intersections where we come from different backgrounds, or some of us might have mixed heritages or different levels of education, or live in city versus urban, rural. And so for people to know that Chicano Latino art is not just one style, like Julian mentioned at the beginning. It's not just a mural. It's not just what we normally would think of, and how much it's grown and how much it will continue to grow, and how it hopefully will inspire the next generation, or somebody who's older who's always wanted to be an artist but never thought that it was open for them, and for them to see that it's possible to be creative in many different ways.
Can I add one more thing, Beatriz?
Absolutely.
The one thing that I want to make sure I say with tremendous heart is how I deeply appreciate you and the Mexican Culture Institute and the ambassador of Mexico to the US. inviting us to participate in this event, you know, giving us the opportunity to speak about our Mexican Americanism. I think it's such a wonderful opportunity for us to explore this and to expand on it. Hold on, sirens. Yes, urban life. But it's such a wonderful thing, and I'm really excited that we get to begin to speak. And what I hope is, you know, an ongoing dialogue, because I think it's such an important aspect of our world, especially now.
Absolutely, and I wholeheartedly agree with all of you. I hope that this is an ongoing conversation, that this is the beginning of an ongoing conversation between with you guys in the Los Angeles area in California and here in Washington. Fortunately, thanks to the digital realm, we can, as you well said, reach a wider and wider audience. And even if I would have love to have the exhibit here in person at the Mexican Cultural Institute, to be able to have a direct connection with the artwork, I'm sure that the exhibition as it is will create questions and will create curiosity about the themes that are in the art conversation right now in the Mexican American art world. So I cannot express on behalf of the Embassy of Mexico and the Mexican Cultural Institute how grateful we are for joining this celebration. And I thank you for this wonderful conversation. And I invite our audience again, we invite our audience again to visit A Little Bit of Home, virtual exhibition featuring artworks by Ana Serrano, Jose Ramirez, Cindy Santos Bravo, Leticia Maldonado, artists unknown, Maximiliano Navarro, and Yolanda Gonzalez, which is already on view at the website of the Mexican Cultural Institute and Bermúdez Projects. Muchas gracias y hasta pronto.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you.